3-5, Equations of Lines in the Coordinate Plane, Part 2. Alright, there's no vocab for this because this was pretty much a continuation of the last video, so you got all the information in the last video. All the vocab in the last video. So what we're going to do in this one is what is an equation of a line with a slope of 3 and a y-intercept of 5? So from here, instead of having the slope and identifying, what we're going to do is we're actually going to write the equations from the given information. So what is the equation of a line with slope of 3 and a y-intercept of -5? Well, since we know the slope is 3 and we know that's m, we're simply going to plug in 3 for m. And since we know the y-intercept is -5 and we know that's b, we're going to plug in -5 for b. So our y equals mx plus b, we're putting a 3 in for m and a -5 in for b. So it's going to be y equals 3x plus -5. Then of course plus a minus is the same thing as subtraction, so it's going to end up y equals 3x minus 5 is the equation for a line with a slope of 3 and a y-intercept of -5. Alright, now how do we write an equation for a line when we have a point and a slope? Well, that's where we use our point-slope formula. Okay, this is point-slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And if all you have is one point, that means that this is your x1 and this is your y1. So it makes it easy. And then our slope of 2. If we were to have 2 points here, what you would do is you would just pick one to use. Wouldn't matter which one, you would just pick one and use it. Alright? So for y1 we're putting in a 5, for m we're putting in a 2, and for x1 we're putting in a -1. So y minus 5 equals 2 times x minus -1. And of course, when you have a double negative like this, it becomes a positive. So it's y minus 5 equals 2 times x plus 1. Now, you can even simplify this a bit further. What you can do is distribute this 2 through the parentheses and have y minus 5 equals 2x plus 2. And then you can add the 5 to both sides. So you can have y equals 2x plus 7. Alright. Now, if you notice, this is in y equals mx plus b form. Alright. You can take any equation written in point-slope form. Okay, remember this is point-slope form. You can take any equation, and after you fill in your variables like we did here, you can simplify it down into slope-intercept form by just simply solving for y, which is what I did here. I just simply solved for y. Distribute through, add the 5 to both sides. The thing is, to make sure you do first, though, is make sure you distribute this first. Get rid of these parentheses first before you bring the 5 over. It makes it easier. You're less likely to make a mistake that way. Okay? Alright, you try. I want you to write an equation of a line with a slope of -1/2 and a y-intercept of 2. And I also want you to write an equation of a line through point -1, 4 with a slope of -3. So pause the video, work these two out, and then restart the video. Alright, so let's look at our first one. We have a slope of -1/2 and a y-intercept of 2. Alright, so since we have our slope and our intercept, we're going to use slope-intercept form for this one, which is y equals mx plus b. Alright, so y equals our slope, which is -1/2 x, because remember this y and this x will always be in this equation. You're never going to be able to get rid of it. And then this 2 here is b, so it's a positive 2, so this is just going to be a plus 2 on the end. So the answer for A is y equals -1/2 x plus 2. Now for B, since we have a point and a slope, we're going to use point-slope form. which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Remember, this first y and this first x are always going to stay in this equation. You can't get rid of those either. So this is going to be our x1, this is going to be our y1 because we only have one point to work with. So this is going to be y minus 4 equals negative 3 times x minus negative 1. X minus negative 1 is x plus 1, so this is negative 3 times x plus 1. And then over here, the y minus 4 stays. Now, you could leave it in this form, or you could continue to break it down and get it into slope-intercept form, which you would simply do by distributing the 3 through. So y minus 4 equals negative 3x minus 3, and then you're going to add the 4 to both sides. So y equals negative 3x plus 1. Now, this equation right here and this equation right here, even though they look very different, they will still give you the same exact line. They will still give you the same exact line. Don't believe me? Graph this line using the point negative 1, 4 with a slope of negative 3, and then graph this line with a slope-intercept of 1 and a slope of negative 3. And if you do it properly, you will see that it is the same exact line. All right, moving along. Using 2 points to write an equation. So what is the equation of the line to the right? All right, well, the first thing we got to do when we have these two is we need to find our slope. All right, so start by finding the slope m of the line through the two given points. So if you make this point 2 and this point 1, this is your x1, this is your y1, this is your x2, and this is your y2. So that's what they did here. 5 minus negative 1 is 6, and 3 minus negative 2 is 5. So now we have our slope, and they gave us 2 points. We can either use this point or this point. I would use this one because they're both positive, and that's what they chose as well. So you're simply going to, so we determined we need to use point slope formula, which is what this is. And now you just simply plug it in. y1 is 5, so y minus 5 equals m, which is 6/5. So equals 6/5 times x minus x2, or x1 in this case, because now this is 0.1, minus 3. So there's our equation. Y minus 5 equals 6/5 times x minus 3. All right? So that's how you get the equation of a line that's drawn on a graph. You just pick 2 points. All right, in this case, they picked negative 2, 1 and 3, 5. You find your slope first, and then you use point slope form to get your equation. Now, they could have just as easily picked this point. The equation would look a little different. It'd be y plus 1, because it'd be y minus negative 1, equals our slope 6/5 times x plus 2. Both of these will give you the same exact line. In fact, if you converted them both to point slope form, you would see that they're going to be the same thing. All right. So, moving on. Writing equations of horizontal and vertical lines. Now, it says, what are the equations for the horizontal and vertical lines through point 24? So through this point right here. So we want the equation of that line and the equation of that line. Now it says every point on a horizontal line through 2, 4 has a y coordinate of 4, because this is your y value, this is your x value. So the equation of the line is simply y equals 4, and it crosses the y-axis at 0, 4. Okay, so it crosses right here, and this would be 4. All right, every horizontal line, every horizontal line is always going to be y equals a number. All right, whatever number it crosses the y-axis at, or in this case, whatever the y value is what this number is going to be. if I picked this point, the equation of this line here would simply be y equals 2, because that's where it crosses the y-axis, and this is point 4, 2. All right, so this is your y value. So the equation of this line is y equals 2. Every horizontal line will always be y equals a number. That number is either the y value of the point or where it crosses the y-axis, and they're going to be the same number either way. Now, just like horizontal lines, vertical lines will always be x equals a number. So since our x coordinate is 2, that's why this is x equals 2. It'll always be that. I could have picked this point and said, what is the equation? I'm sorry, wrong one. I could have picked this point and said, what is the equation of a line through point 2, 1? And the vertical line would be x equals 2. If I picked this point, what is this, negative 2, 1, and said, what is the equation of a vertical line? You would tell me x equals negative 2. So vertical lines are always x equals a number. If they give you a point, you always use the x value of that point. If they don't give you a point, look at the graph and see where it crosses the x-axis and use that number. All right. So here's your ticket in the door. It's 3 questions. For 1 and 2, I want you to use the given information to write the equation for each line. Number 1, it has a slope of 2/3 and it passes through point -2, -6. For number 2, I want you to write me the equation of this line on this graph. And for number 3, I want you to write the equation of the horizontal and vertical lines through the given point 3, -2. All right. So make sure you have this finished. You can feel free to look back in your notes, scroll back through the video if you need to. Make sure you have this ready when you come to class tomorrow. Good luck.